Good morning, everyone. Republic Jim here. It's a rather chilly late October morning, somewhere around 19 or 20 degrees, and just heading to work. Friday we had a significant amount of snow, somewhere like around 7 or 8 inches, and then we had a cold front drop in and got down into single digits a little bit overnight. It's warming up slightly now, like I said, up around 20, but definitely unusual for October. So it's a perfect time to talk again about cold adaptation and brown adipose tissue. Anybody that has followed my channel much knows that I have a playlist about cold adaptation called Batman. I've explained in previous videos why I do the process and kind of how I go about it, so I'm not going to rehash things too much. But with the really sudden decrease in temperatures, it's even a little bit of a shock for my system. Fortunately, early fall, I'd already been working on the cold adaptation process, so my system was kind of adjusting. But going from 40s or even down into the lower 30s to suddenly 10 degrees and that sort of range is definitely a little bit of a shock. Takes some time to adjust. So my hands are still getting pretty cold, and not nearly as comfortable at this temperature as I will be a little later, like December and January, because it does take the body a little bit of time to adjust. I'm definitely not at this point feeling comfortable by any means. So even though I'm able to drive along with the window open and my arm out and such, it's not something that I would do for enjoyment. It's just because I have a purpose of doing it. And at this point, I'm still not going to be able to keep my arm out the entire way into work. Just do it for a while until it gets to be too much, and then pull my arm in and give it a chance to warm up a bit. But I started out this morning with a nice brisk contrast shower, finished up with a solid bit of cold water. That kind of helps out the system getting used to it too. And then just the moment I go out and start walking around without a coat on, I can feel that and I am going to have to bring that in now. Anyway, I can feel that my torso is starting to generate heat. The brown adipose tissue is activating, doing its job, and trying to regulate my temperature. And there's nothing better than just sudden cold like that for a little bit of time to really get that activation going. And of course, like I've mentioned in the past, I don't do anything too extreme. I try and recognize my limits and keep an eye out for the signs of frostbite or anything, or hypothermia. But it's kind of funny, every year as it gets cold, I see articles in the news about people that have gotten lost or stranded somewhere. Not that that's funny, but they talk about how they're on the verge of hypothermia or were showing symptoms of it, and I can't help thinking that if only more people worked even a little bit had cold adaptation, they wouldn't have that problem, because frequently the ones I see articles about are in conditions that are nowhere close to this, where they're out in like 40-degree weather for a few hours, sometimes maybe a little below freezing, but they're wearing coats and should be actually prepared for the conditions. But unfortunately these days so many people spend their entire life practically in climate controlled conditions, and their bodies have no chance to ever adapt. So, and when they do go out in the cold, their coat keeps them warm for a while, but then they still get chilly, and they have no bat activated to help generate heat, and they very quickly go into the early stages of hyperthermia. Whereas by doing this sort of thing on a regular basis, I allow my body to adapt and really to be able to deal with extreme conditions. I certainly wouldn't recommend doing what I'm doing right now to somebody that hasn't done it before. You have to ease into it and do the 40s and 50s and such first, and just gradually be able to deal with the colder temperatures. A little bit of compacted snow and ice on the road, so getting squirrely there. Had to put it in four-wheel drive. But anyway, like I was saying, just the process of getting to this point, even now I wouldn't be able to handle 20-degree temperatures for all that long, because I haven't been dealing with it for a long enough time yet. But once I've been doing this consistently during the winter, I'm able to do single-digit temperatures and such, and handle it with the window open the whole drive into work. And at Winterfest last year in January, I was around 30 degrees. I was walking around in a t-shirt for several hours, and didn't have any problem with that. So anyway, it's an interesting process, and I know a lot of people think I'm crazy, but I just have found that you have to be willing to be uncomfortable and push the boundaries a little bit to be able to do some things that are a little beyond the ordinary. And I find value in it anyway. Hopefully some of you are interested in the topic, and maybe I can encourage some other people to get out of their comfort zones a little bit and see what they're capable of doing. But anyway, that's just some thoughts on this chilly October morning, and I'm pulling into work now, so I'll wrap it up, and I will get back to you later. This has been Republic Jim.